if you're still prompting AI over and over again every day, you're basically doing it the hard way. And I feel that sometimes we might need that kind of thing, and it's great to have ChatGPT on your phone or whatever, and you can just ramble or you can just talk. And if you need an email, you need a post, or you need something like, obviously we're in the marketing world, we're doing network marketing, we're promoting our businesses. There's a lot we can use AI for, and people do. But I think that the whole sort of 2025 method and prior to that is kind of like doing it the hard way. And it is hard. I mean, I literally mean it's actually hard compared to how you can be doing it now. So for me, I do things a lot different now than I used to, obviously, because I mean, AI is changing. AI is more sort of integrated in a whole workflow. And there are tools that you don't actually necessarily have to pay extra for. I mean, for example, I'm using ChatGPT, and thank goodness now we have access to tools like Codex. So if you're using ChatGPT, you've probably seen a link on ChatGPT that says Codex. So if you go there and you can download an app onto your desktop, and there's so much you can do with tools like Codex and Claude Code and other tools, depending on what you're using. Some people like to use Codex. I personally love Codex. It appeals to me. I mean, it's at the end of the day, we can think about all is better at doing that or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think the average person spends too much time faffing around listening to other YouTubers telling you that this is better or whatever. Just pick one that you like and go with it and learn it. So I like I like Codex. What it allows you to do, because guys, a little backstory. In this time last year, I basically launched a platform called MLM Lead Pro. I mean, technically that was the version 2 of MLM Lead Pro, because I had the system running for several years prior to that, but it was a system that I didn't create. Therefore, I felt I needed to create my own system. Okay. So the problem was I was not a coder. And so this time last year, I actually decided I'm going to build my own system, even though I'm not a coder. So I just went over to ChatGPT and said, I want to create a system. I mean, it wasn't like that. I don't think you could really possibly go to an AI tool, certainly not back then. You can probably do that now, but back then it was quite hard. You'd have to have kind of the architecture, and you had experience, not in coding, but you would have had to have what are the important strengths of what a marketing system needs to be able to do, the important direction that you want to go in, how you want to architect the whole infrastructure of a marketing system. And so I already had experience in running marketing systems, even though I hadn't created a whole marketing system myself. And that didn't matter, because even back then, ChatGPT was incredibly powerful this time last year. But it was just using the chat prompt. I would just say to ChatGPT, let's do this. And it would give me back responses each time. And it was back and forth. And it was that typical chat, how it is. And I would copy that code into a text file, and I would save it and upload it. And that's how I did it. I mean, in 3 weeks, wow, I had an entire marketing system, and I launched, and people could create their own funnels. It had a share code system built in. You could connect up your autoresponder, and it was a whole membership system. You could share out your link, and users would join the system under you. And that whole system was built by AI. That's what I did. I mean, I created it. So AI has been amazing. But now things are a bit different. You can download a system like Codex, and you could open up a folder, you can connect it all up, and it's very easy. It's incredibly easy. And if there's nothing in that folder already, it doesn't matter. You just say, I want to create blah, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it'll get to work. Now, obviously, it helps on the whole to have a kind of an idea, a goal, a direction, a kind of a blueprint or something in mind. But you can go over to ChatGPT or any of whatever your favorite AI tool is, and just come up with a kind of a blueprint, a kind of a DNA of what you're trying to create. That would tend to help than just simply giving it some prompts to start with. And then you can create that sort of set of documents using ChatGPT that will just sort of write it. You just ramble, say, this is what I'm looking to build. What would you say? I'm going to use Codex to build it. Let's build some documents in the form of a knowledge kind of thing. And you download that and you put that into your knowledge base within your folder project, or within your project folder of that tool that you're going to use, for example, Codex. And then Codex will have all the kind of the idea, the structure, and it'll just get to code. You're not having to do anything. And it'll build your system, and it'll do it in phases, likely, but it'll get a lot done in the beginning. And you keep saying, let's change this, let's do this, let's add this. And then you'll get to a point where you can sort of steer it in the right direction. And it's incredible. But now these tools, they have systems that you can implement, like skills. You can implement a better workflow. You can automate the whole thing using the agent mode, where these systems have more of a kind of a goal rather than just kind of a step. So if you set the goal, it'll just get that goal done and it'll do whatever it needs to do in order to do it. So you can integrate these tools into other systems like Visual Code and stuff like that. And you don't actually have to need to know how to use these systems. And I think that the whole thing is amazing, because I think that moving forward, I think the best tools and the systems that you're going to be able to make better money with are not necessarily systems that you're going to actually release to the world. And I'm going to say that again, because I think that that's a shift that people don't quite understand, is that I've actually released, or rather I should say, some of the tools that I've actually created, I should say, because I haven't actually released them. Some of the best tools that I've created are tools that I would never, ever release to the world. And you probably think that that's crazy. Why wouldn't you? Everyone's thinking like, I want to build an app that I could sell on the App Store. I want to build a funnel system that I could sell to my users. They think that that's the way to make money. And that's great. And if you've got an idea, go for it. But sometimes you might think that I need a better workflow, or I need a system that can do this whole process or leverage what I'm doing much faster. So you build yourself a set of apps that the world is never actually going to see, because they are systems that maybe only you use. Or sometimes I even build systems that I personally never even use, but they're systems that, for example, Claude Code understands how to use. It keeps the framework, the infrastructure, the DNA completely controlled. Like you might use a JSON system so that Claude Code builds that JSON payload and feeds it into your application that you yourself never actually have to use, but it's on your desktop, and Claude Code just uses it as part of the framework, and the output is a better workflow for you. Maybe you need a bulk set of funnel systems to implement, or like, for example, in MLM Lead Pro, I've got a whole kind of lead magnet system that's built complete done for you funnels. So if you think about it, like some of you have used this tool, it's in MLM Lead Pro. It allows the user to select from a library of over 30 plus lead magnet topics, and you select the topic, you decide the scheme, or like a template, dark template, light template, or whatever. And within seconds, you've got not only an entire lead magnet funnel, but you've got the funnel itself that it packages it up with, and it's all branded to you, and it's all part of MLM Lead Pro. So it brands with your photo, your name, everything, and it's done in seconds. Now, I've got over 30 lead magnets created, and those lead magnets are nicely designed. They've got nice graphics, they've got underlines, they've got bullet points, they've got everything. It's beautiful, and the content is actually very good, and people are liking this tool. But how am I actually building these lead magnets? Now, obviously, I'm not going to give my secrets away, but I'm saying that, guys, people think that I am putting in a lot of work. People often say to me, do you ever sleep? And the answer is yes. I'm actually a very lazy person, but I am, I would say, by nature, a kind of an architect. And I always like to think that how could a system be put in place where this whole workflow could be done better? So I've got software on my computer that I would never, ever release to the world, simply because Codex has built that software. And it's in some cases, it's software that I personally will never even need to use. It doesn't have an interface. It's a system that requires a certain JSON payload. It requires a certain script, and it forces the script to work in a certain way, and it builds out things lightning fast. It seems to just duplicate everything that I need in a certain way, and I've got a certain amount of perfection. I like things done in a certain way, but I'm also lazy. So I set that system, the software, to make sure that AI produces that in the way that needs to be done. It's like, for example, take MLM Lead Pro, for example. MLM Lead Pro was created simply because a system like it never existed. So I needed to create it. So I feel in some ways I am a bit of a perfectionist. I like things done in certain ways. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but in my own craziness, there is method in my madness, but I do feel that I am kind of a perfectionist in my own way. That doesn't necessarily appeal to everyone, but it's just my way of the way I like to do things. And so I put that kind of DNA that I have into the software that the AI needs to use in order to stick to that framework. So all I'm saying is sometimes you might decide to create a system or a software that you will never release to the world. You probably won't even necessarily use yourself, because it doesn't even have an interface, because it's not a system that humans are going to use, because that would be slow. I mean, if you think about a typical software where you have to fill in the form, you have to click the buttons and do this and do that, you've got to configure it. But if you imagine how an AI tool would use that software, it doesn't need an interface. It just needs like a schema. It just needs a JSON payload. It just needs an import somehow. And that import is like a whole vast, set of garbage. But AI knows what it means. It's a JSON system. It's a structure. And it gets added and imported. I have no idea how it works, but I somehow created it. AI did it for me. So AI is creating tools that only AI is going to be using. And it's going to be part of an agents system where hundreds of agents, and I feel like hundreds of cloned systems are going to be just producing this kind of workflow because I needed it done faster. It's as simple as, and that's the way I think AI is heading. So my advice, even if you feel that some of this stuff is not ready and you're not ready for it because you don't have a clue of what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. My advice is simply just to learn how to use these tools like Codex or Claude Code, have them installed onto your computer. You might use Cursor, you might use anti-gravity or whatever, or there's a lot of problems going on there, but don't get me started. But I mean, Claude Code, but I personally love Codex. And for me, just simply having Codex on my computer and I need something done, I get Codex to do it. It's like I have a tool that knows how to use my tools that get the stuff done and they leverage and everything is run. So I think if there's a problem in my workflow, I usually say to myself, this needs to be improved. This workflow needs to be fixed. How could I automate this? How could I do this better? If I need to get more pages done in better design, how could I make sure that the vast library of graphics that I already have on my computer, how could I educate or articulate to Codex to make sure that those graphics need to be used in certain ways? And so Codex knows which graphics are being used. Those graphics are labeled specifically so that certain graphics are being used so that my lead magnets look nice and then they can be rebrandable. I use libraries such as MPDF tools. These are JavaScript libraries on my hosting that automate a lot of stuff. And some of these libraries are free. So if you just ask ChatGPT questions because you're curious, you could learn so much. I mean, I've learned so much since this time last year and prior to that as well, because I've always been fascinated by how certain systems are being done. And I usually end up getting the same kind of system done using an unconventional method. Like I've always been interested in how graphics are being created. I've always interested in how certain companies produce really outstanding funnel systems. And I've always just dared to ask questions how these systems are being done. How could it use Photoshop? You're not going to get AI tools to use certain tools that you would have used in your company simply because AI doesn't need to use those interfaces. Those tools have been designed for humans, but in the future, tools are going to be designed so that only AI ever uses those tools and humans will never use those tools. But AI needs to be able to get a job done as quickly as possible. And so the AI is just simply going to create their own tools in order to be able to get it done properly. Or it may not even need a tool. It may just need a certain schema or a system, or it just needs a terminal or a command line or some kind of prompt that needs to be added into or executed into some kind of coding system. And that's the way it's going to happen. I mean, my whole ramble today in this video is probably meaningless to a lot of people, but the point is automation is going to change and you don't need to know how it works, because if you get curious, I think AI is just going to be able to work with you and understand what it is you're trying to do simply because it understands your goal. That's it. How it gets there, you don't even need to know that. So I think that my advice is learn these tools, guys. Keep up to date. Just get onto YouTube, learn about Codex, learn about Claude Code, learn about these various tools, have them installed on your computer, play around with them. And when the time comes, you're going to be way above the crowd in getting stuff done at the pace you need it. And it's not going to be overwhelming because you're not going to be the one that's doing it. Claude Code or whatever software you're going to that's going to be the tool that's going to be your favorite best friend. And there are other tools that have already come out that just are mind-boggling. I haven't mentioned in this video simply because I didn't really want to get it too complicated. I didn't want to kind of overwhelm people with the jargon. But this video was never about the jargon. It was just about the kind of like mindset in thinking you don't need to know the stuff behind what's going on in the code. You don't need to know all that because it's going to be irrelevant in the future. You're just going to set it a goal and say, I need this done in this way. And if you have any sort of kind of lacking in kind of, I don't know, possibilities, then that's going to be on you. You know, if you have a kind of a mindset in thinking, wow, anything is possible, then I think you're going to be able to get ahead, because it's not going to be you that's going to be the limiting factor here in the future. It's going to be your limited imagination. That's going to be the limiting factor. Anyway, I hope this was useful. I didn't want to go on too long, and I'm sorry if it's got a bit technical, but my advice is if I take anything away from this video, just download or research about these various tools that I've mentioned, Claude Code or Codex. Like I say, I personally prefer Codex. Don't ask me questions about Claude Code because I don't actually use it. I think it's great. It's just you pick a tool and you just run with it. And I decided to use Codex basically. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope this video is useful. It wasn't for everyone, but I think some people, I know for a fact, there are a lot of people who follow me or subscribe to my channel that already use a lot of these tools, and fair play to you, because this is the direction. This is where we're heading. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk soon, and get in touch if you need any questions answered, and chat soon. Cheers, guys. Bye for now.